Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Mark, a trainer here at WEX Field Service Management, and today we are covering Profit Rhino flat rate pricing. This webinar will cover a Profit Rhino overview, how to sign up and get your initial settings dialed in. We'll go over the admin page and some of the new options that you have, which include editable part costs and tiered markups. Then we will put this in action by showing how to sell flat rate items on your proposals and invoices with a live Q&A at the end where you will be able to ask questions and get those answered live on stream. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into WEX FSM. Now, first, just to do a quick overview of Profit Rhino, I do like to show the difference between Profit Rhino, which is a flat rate price book, and your integrated WEX FSM price book. If I go to More Applications, Price Book, My Price Book, you can custom create, manually enter any items that you would want to sell or use on proposals and invoices. And this is native. This comes as part of your normal subscription with WEX FSM. However, you determine all the pricing. You manually enter each item individually. And so that can take a lot of time. Now, the end result is that you'll have folders. Inside of those folders, you'll have items that you can use, and it's great. However, if you don't have a lot of time, if prices change very frequently in your area, it can be cumbersome to have to come in and update this all the time. So, if you're doing flat rate pricing, a great way to kind of get around that and save yourself some time and always have the correct pricing, you can add Profit Rhino as an add-on subscription to your WEX FSM plan. Now, we're going to go over the details of that, but just to show you, if you are interested in that, you would go to Settings, Subscriptions, and from the subscriptions page, you'll want to go to the very last tab, Additional Products. This is where you'll find all of the add-ons and integrations that we have. And you'll see the second option here is the flat rate price book with Profit Rhino. The nice thing about this is once you add this, which you would click, this is already included in this test account that we have now, but if you don't have Profit Rhino, you would see a red plus button like you see here. You would click on that, and then that would take you through the process to sign up and add this to your account. Once it's been added, you will have a fully functional flat rate price book in your system that will include HVAC, plumbing, drain cleaning, price books, all separated out. The pricing is determined by Profit Rhino, which is powered by Callahan Roach, and they have a great pulse on what the pricing is in your area. And as prices change, that will update in your system. So you always know you're charging the correct price. It offers one of the largest repair databases in the industry. So if you use flat rate pricing for your repair jobs, this would be a great option. And you can very easily navigate through folders, find what you're looking for, and add these items to your proposals and invoices to create, to make those job forms to send to your customers and run your jobs. Profit Rhino, this add-on is really great for helping standardize your pricing. If you have a lot of technicians that are out in the field, they may not know your flat rate pricing from your, service pricing, your install pricing. So it is a good way to get everyone on the team on the same page as well, because they're all pulling from the same price book. To customize your subscription, once you actually have Profit Rhino added, it's good to go through the setup process, and we're going to take a look at that now. I'm going to click Edit Subscription. And then these are some of the options you're going to want to consider. Starting at the top, we have select your industries. Pricing is going to be different per industry. If you run an HVAC company versus a plumbing company, those are two completely separate types of services and require different price books. Each of these that you see under select industry is a different price book. So you are saying when you select your industry, I want the HVAC price book included in my system. I also do plumbing, so I want plumbing included. If you don't do plumbing, you're going to want to turn that off because that will just be less options you'll see and less clutter, items you're not using, in your price book when you go to find the items you're looking for. So this is completely up to you. It is nice to add the general and at least poke around and see if there's items in there that you want to use. General will have certain just general items, trip charges, things that everyone on any job may use. And then, of course, if you add one of these industries, it's going to take each of these will be a folder, and that folder will be filled with a massive amount of items, and those items you'll use to pull on to your proposals and invoices. If you check it, it includes that folder. If you uncheck it, it will not include that folder. Let's say our company does it all. We do all the different industries, but we'll use this just as an example here. Then you will want to set your labor rates for each industry. And this is where it's getting more customized to you. Now, Profit Rhino is going to use their own equation and come up with the pricing that makes sense for your area. However, you can get detailed with your hourly cost and hourly rate for commercial jobs and residential jobs. So let's say for this, oh wait, can I, give me a second here. There we go. So for HVAC jobs that I'm doing where I'm using flat rate pricing is it allows me to select the hourly cost. The hourly cost is how much it costs me for labor. And then the hourly rate will be what I am charging the customer. And then you can create different pricing for residential and commercial, which is usually the case. You're going to charge most likely a little less for your residential single family home versus a commercial company that's a big business that you're servicing. And then you would just set those like how much does it cost me for 1 hour of labor? And then what am I charging for labor for residential? And then what am I charging cost and rate for commercial? Add those for any industry that you select. And then you'll want to determine, do you charge tax? If you maybe you charge taxes on parts, but you don't charge tax on labor, you can just toggle that here. When I add an item from the Profit Rhino price book, if it's a part and taxes is turned on, it'll add tax in that moment. And if taxes are turned off, it will then just not apply taxes to that item. So set your tax preferences here. And then if you are syncing to QuickBooks, you will want to determine where do I want the income for these flat rate items to sync to in QuickBooks. So for this, let's say that I know I'm doing repair jobs. So I'm going to have the income for my parts and labor go to my repair income accounts in QuickBooks. You can also choose classes. If you're using classes in QuickBooks, you can do that. but it is not required. And those are the initial settings. So make sure you have the industries selected, aka the price book folders you want to add per industry. Make sure you're putting in the hourly cost and rate for residential and commercial. Select your tax options and your sync options if you're syncing. When you're done, you will click Save, and then that will save those preferences. Now, let's say this is just a pro tip. If you notice that across the board, the pricing is off a little bit, it's, you start adding items from your Profit Rhino price book and you just notice everything is inflated here. I wish there was a way for me to just mark the pricing down just a little bit, for what I charge. You can come to Edit Subscription and just update your hourly cost and or hourly rate. And this is the piece of the equation that you can control to change the entire pricing of all of Profit Rhino. They have their equation. You've got your part of that equation here, and this is how you can update. So, if I realize I'm undercharging for my HVAC commercial jobs, I may want to come in here and buff up the hourly cost or the hourly rate and hit save. Then go back to that folder, look at the pricing, and you will see, let's say I increased it here, you'll see that the pricing across the board has been increased. Uh, so that's one way to do it. And that this is at a mass scale update. We have also recently added the ability to individually update your cost per item, and we'll show that in just a little bit. Okay. But, what are the benefits of doing this and using Profit Rhino? This will save you time from manually entering an entire price book. You know that the research and the number crunching has been done for you by Profit Rhino, which is one of the most trusted entities in the industry. And then your prices update over time. So as things update in the field, in the industry, it's going to update for you here. And then the price books are just automatically organized for you into folders. And those folders are easy to navigate when you're actually using the price book in the moment, running jobs. All right. So next, let's go into, let's look at the admin page and then editable part cost. So another nice thing about the flat rate price book is that there is a dedicated space where you can spot check and look at your pricing without having to create an invoice. To do this, we're going to go to More Applications, Price Book, Flat Rate Price Book. And if you have used the WEX FSM price book, this looks very similar. You have an area, each of those buckets or each of those industries that you selected in your preferences, you will see that reflected here. So we selected electrical, general, HVAC, and plumbing. And let's say I want to click the caret to get that drop down. It's going to show all the subfolders. So since I selected HVAC, it has now added for me all kinds of folders, and each of these folders will have either subfolders or items in them. So we can see for our blower motors and wheels, let's look at the belt-driven blower motors. If I click the drop down, it will show me all items that are in here, and they're not editable right away. But if I do want to update this, so first, before we click on that, this is just a good way to see what has come with your subscription. I'm able to look at all of the items, all the folders, and just get a general idea of what's in here. If I want to edit these items, Let's say I notice that my blower motors are I'm not charging enough for them and the price is not high enough. I need to charge more. I can click on the number here, which will take me into that folder. And this is now your space where you can customize this. If I want to customize something, I will click Edit Details. And now I'm able to individually update my cost for this item. So if I notice that the pricing is not where it needs to be, I can individually update the cost here. Now, I will say this. By default, the pricing should be great. It's coming from Profit Rhino. It should be correct based on your region. And most of the time, you won't need to update this. And you may not want to update a ton of things because the updates are being done for you. So for this item, if I don't touch it, the price increase happens, the price update from Profit Rhino happens. It will then adjust the details of this item. Uh, if you change this, let's say you update the cost, it will then override it, and this will no longer get updates. So just realize that if you are coming in and you're automatically applying this, or sorry, you're updating this yourself. Um, and I see your question. Well, let me look at that in just a second. I'm going to finish out this thought here. If you edit this, this will now become a unique number. And when the update comes in, it's not going to override your changes. So it stays custom. So just realize that if you do want to have more control over what these costs are, you can edit your costs from here. You can also choose whether or not you want to include taxes per item from here. And this is also where you can remap this to a different income account, which is the account it will sync to when syncing to QuickBooks. Make sure you hit save changes if you do make any changes to this item. So Lydia asks, under more applications, I don't have flat rate price book listed as an option to select. We do pay for Profit Rhino. There is a Callahan Roach section in my price book, but I don't think that's where you went. Oh, okay. So, hmm. I guess just real quick, Lydia, go to if you if you're able to, hopefully you can, log in to wexfsm.com, go to settings, go to subscriptions, and then go to additional products. And first, let me know, do you have a green check here? Okay. So if you have a green check, that means it's in your system. And you're saying when you go to more applications, price book, you do not have this flat rate price book option here. Is that a correct statement? Okay. Interesting. So I don't think I'm just going to check something real quick. No, you're good. If I can't figure it out in the next, 15 seconds, hold on, Dustin. There might be a permission. I don't know off the top of my head that's like preventing you from seeing that. No. Uh, so you you can see more applications. That's not turned off. You can go to Pricebook. All this other stuff is here, but flat rate Pricebook, and I'm assuming flat rate tiered markups are not there. Okay. Let's look at that at the end. Maybe we can do a little more troubleshooting. It should be there. If you have Profit Rhino set up, that is just natively one of the things that comes with it is the flat rate price book section. I don't see any other way to get that turned off. or on. Interesting. We will look at that in the Q&A. Thanks for bringing that up. In the meantime, well, you can just follow along with what I'm doing on screen here. I do apologize for that. I'm not sure why that's happening, but we will get to the bottom of it at the end. Okay. So picking up where we left off, we did editable part costs. From the price book. Here we go. Okay. So what we were saying, you can go to more applications, price book, flat rate price book. That will bring you to your flat rate price book, which will include the different folders, which has all the items in them per industry. You can search through those with the drop downs. You can edit your items, edit the costs, income accounts where you want it to sync if you're syncing to QuickBooks. And you'll notice there's two prices. That's because there's a residential price and a commercial price. So like when you're in the field, we'll see this a little later, but let's say you're creating your proposal, you're adding your items. When you're adding the items, you're going to see two prices. So you'll know the first price is the residential price and the second price is the commercial price. Then just in the moment, you'll know what job you're working on and you'll be able to add accordingly. Now you can also favorite items from here, which does come in very handy. And this is a huge pro tip on using this. There's a lot of stuff in here. So you may only use one or two of a certain type of blower motor. And those are the ones those are your standard, your go-tos. That's what you use for every job if you can. But when there's 50 of them, it may get hard because you're going to type in, blower motor and 50 of them will show up. And then you're going to have to look through which of those you want to choose. That is where favoriting comes in. Look at the items that are here. I would just spend a day maybe or, a work block and go through and find some items that you like to use and click on the heart. Once you do that, it will put it in the favorites section, and then you can just click favorites and see all your favorited items when on proposals and invoices. You can also hide. Let's say that you have a technician who just refuses to use the products that you tell them to, and they keep using the wrong ones. You can hide them. So that way it's still in the system. It's just not going to show up when you're searching them uh, in the field. So that's by a use case scenario, but you can hide items from the price book if you need to from here. This is showing the overview of these items. If I click over to pricing, this just allows you to see a little more detail of labor hours, labor rate, standard price, and then what the pricing would be based on your modifiers in your price book. So if I go to more applications, price book, pricing defaults, you can create modifiers to either increase or decrease pricing. And these will apply to your Profit Rhino Pricebook item. So if I'm just using the Profit Rhino Pricebook, I can add a friends and family discount and it will take that discount. And you can see what that pricing would be with those pricing strategies applied from here. All right. So that was editing your part cost. Now let's take a look at tiered markups. This is actually another new feature of Profit Rhino that our customers have been asking for a long time, and it is finally here. And that is, let's go to more applications, price book, flat rate tiered markups. So, if you have a standard markup and you're selling an item, that means that you have your cost, you have your percentage that you're marking up from that cost, and that's going to give me my price that I'm going to charge my customer. But the markup is a percentage, and I may want to have a different markup for my cheaper items versus my very expensive items because that percentage is going to grow exponentially based on how expensive that service is. We didn't have this before, and so this is great. Now you can actually come in and create your own ranges of cost versus markup. And this is just an example. I have come in and set this up. This is saying anything that cost 1 cent to $1, there is a 400% increase, or sorry, markup to the price. If something costs $100.01 to $300, that's going to be a 75% markup. Now you can choose by markup. You can also choose by margin if you're more wanting to look at like the revenue increase versus applying your actual percentage markup to the cost. So you have the option to edit these cost ranges by markup percent or margin percent. Once a item has been added, you can edit by clicking. So let's say I want to add a row below, I would select that, and then you fill that out as needed. If I want to delete a line, I would just click the trash can icon, and that will delete. You can create as many of these as you want. It will show you when it was updated and who it was by, and click save once you have those edits made. I like this. When this little I right here, if I click on this, this is going to give me some context about what's going on this page. Recommended defaults. So let's say you come in here, you make a bunch of changes to your markups, then you go and you realize, oh man, I did not set the right price. I'm not getting the right pricing here. You can always just click recommended default and it will set it back to the Profit Rhino original defaults that they set when you signed up. And then you can adjust from there. So that could be just a feedback loop. But this also explains cost range, markup versus margin, what that is, shows last modified, how you can edit in tiers. So this is a good legend or reference on terminology and just what's going on this page if you need that. Any changes or updates you make sure you hit save, and then this will apply right when you hit save. That will apply to your entire flat rate price book in your system. Okay, so that is if you want to set up tiered markups. Next, let's see this in action. So we signed up and we added this as an add-on subscription. We selected the industries and that put price books folders into our system with a bunch of items. All of those items have pictures, descriptions, pricing, and then we set our initial settings. We entered our cost for labor. We created our tiered markups here. So all the foundation work is now done, and we're ready to use this in context to sell flat rate items to our customers. To do this, let's go to our customer, Justin Hernandez. And actually, for clarity, I'll just give you a little path here. So the flat rate price book is available on proposals and on invoices. So whether you can use either or. And I'm on my customer page. You would just search for your customer, go to their page. And I actually created a flat rate job as an example, but any job that you're on, you would just click to get into that job. And now you can either create a proposal with proposals and financing or an invoice. So let's create an invoice from scratch. Let's say it is a job we're going to use flat rate pricing. I just click new. And now that I'm on the invoice, this is exactly the same for proposals in terms of getting to your price book. We're going to click add item and we want to go to the from flat rate price book tab. Now, if you know exactly what you're looking for, let's say you have a model number written down on a sticky note and you know that that's the one you need, you can just type that in here. So let's see, T813396. And now through searching, because I knew exactly the model number, it pulls up and I'm off to the races. I can just select this, add item, and now I've officially added an item from my price book. However, you're usually going to just search through your folders. Very rare will you know the model number. Maybe you do, but if you don't, if I search for, oops, uh, capacitor, it's going to pull up every capacitor in the entire Profit Rhino price book, and you may not want to sort through all that. So instead, that is where either the favorites come in handy. I don't have any capacitors favorited right now, but if I did, it would only show me my favorite items. So that's where that pro tip earlier comes in handy. You go into that flat rate price book and you favorite the items you know for sure you're going to use. Then they will show up here very easily. Or, and the most common way we see this used is you just use the folders themselves. They're already preset, they're organized. I can click into HVAC. Let's say I need a capacitor, I need a dual start cap, and I would look through and say, this is the one that I need, and add item. So, two main ways to search through that flat rate price book. And then if you have made any edits or adjustments to the part costs, that would be seen here. If I click on the item and I want to make edits, I can. And once it's added from the Profit Rhino price book to the job form, it becomes unique. So now any adjustments that I make to this, I can just update this in the moment. So if I notice that this price should actually be, uh, a little more, 190, I just make that edit and click update. And now it's updated for this job for this customer, but it did not update my original pricing. So there we go. We have officially added items to our invoice. We're ready to come down, take a payment. And let's say that they paid today with a check and record payment. And there you go. Very quick, easy, and saves time. If I had to go in and manually create all of those items that I saw, it takes time. So a good time saver. The prices update based on industry standards. It's updated from Profit Rhino, and it's a great flat rate option if you are using that pricing strategy with the jobs that you run. Okay, we are gonna shift now to our Q&A. I hope you guys learned something. I'm glad that you're here. Before we do, I just want to say thank you so much for joining. My name is Mark with WEX Field Service Management, and this has been Profit Rhino Flat Rate Pricing.